Hello, my name is Peter DiStefano, and I'm a civil engineer with AECOM. In this video, I will talk about the design concepts at Maple Street as they relate to the four rail profile alternatives. If you haven't already, please take a look at the video that describes each of the rail profiles currently being studied in the city. This can be accessed from here on the grade separation video screen. To access the design concepts at Maple Street, click on the blue icon at Maple on the right-hand side of the table. This will take you to this window, providing with four alternative selections. This first one is for a grade separation for all modes of travel for alternatives 1 and 3. All modes meaning motor vehicles, pedestrians, and bikes. These two alternatives, 1 and 3, are combined here at Maple because the rail alignment and elevation are approximately the same for these two. The second one is for a grade separation for all modes for alternative 2. The third one is a road closure option for all alternatives with the pedestrian and bike tunnel provided. And the fourth one is for alternative 4, the grade separates Whipple Avenue only. The first icon takes you to a plan and profile exhibit that shows a grade separation of Maple for alternatives 1 and 3 for all modes. If you click on this button in the lower right, it will put you into full screen mode, and you'll be able to use your mouse wheel to zoom in and see more detail. In this concept, the tracks are raised about 16 feet. The road is lowered a maximum of about 7 feet. This allows for the vertical space needed for the road to pass under the tracks. The depressed sidewalk is shown in blue, and the depressed road is depicted in purple in both views. The road begins its descent at Franklin Street, dips under the railroad bridge, and ends its ascent just before Main Street. Note that this profile view is exaggerated 5 times on the vertical axis. This allows us to see the elevation differences between the road, sidewalk, and tracks more easily at this scale. One of the key constraints of this concept is that the lowered road comes in conflict with the existing culvert under the road. To accommodate the new profile on Maple, a new box culvert will have to be constructed below the lowered road. This is also known as a siphon and is done in unique circumstances such as this one. For example, siphons are used under I-80 in Solano County. Another aspect of this concept is that the sidewalk on the south side of Maple, shown here in light blue, will remain at its current elevation so that pedestrians can access the planned building for the 1180 Main Street project. In this concept, the connection between Pennsylvania Avenue and Maple will be maintained on the north side and removed on the south side. Some property may be acquired to accommodate this design, and some driveways and access points will have to be regraded to match the elevation of the lowered road. These locations are shown with the green dots. To exit out of full screen mode, click on the X on the upper right. In this view, you'll see blue lines with arrows on each end. These are links to section cuts or elevation views. The arrows show the direction that the view is looking. You can open these views by clicking on the corresponding letter under the Select the View menu. Clicking on letter A takes you to a cross section of Maple west of the track showing the lane, shoulder, and sidewalk widths. This section shows the sidewalk elevations more clearly. On the left or on the north side of Maple, the sidewalk follows the profile of the road. On the right, the sidewalk is elevated slightly and follows the existing elevation to allow for access to the 1180 Main Street project building. Section B shows a profile of Pennsylvania Avenue, looking east. This shows the profile limits and also the proposed siphon. Section C shows an elevation view looking south towards the proposed 1180 Main Street project building. Here you can see the elevated sidewalk and access underneath the railroad bridge. Clicking on the X will take you back to the alternative selection screen. The second icon takes you to a similar plan profile exhibit, except that the rail is raised only 8 feet versus about 16 feet in the previous concept. Here are the key differences between Alternative 2 and Alternatives 1 and 3. The profile limits on Maple will extend about an additional 100 feet on each side of the tracks. The profile limits on Pennsylvania will also extend about 100 feet and to the north. Maple Street will have to be lowered an additional 8 feet under the rail bridge, and the grades on the lowered roads will be slightly steeper. Lastly, the culvert will also have to be lowered an additional amount. The third icon shows a grade separation of Maple Street for pedestrians and bikes only. This concept was developed to provide the city an option that accomplishes two things. It minimizes impacts to properties, and two, it avoids impact to the drainage channel. You can see the outline of that culvert here, shown with the blue dash. The concept shown is for Alternative 2, where the tracks are raised the least, so a similar layout would work for Alternatives 1 and 3 also. In this concept, Maple Street is closed to motor vehicle traffic. On the west side, Maple, Lathrop, and Franklin would form a T intersection, and on the east side, traffic on westbound Maple will be forced to make a right turn onto northbound Pennsylvania. In this layout, access to Pennsylvania is removed on the south side of Maple, and the parcels shown here, shaded in red, may be acquired to accommodate the shoe flight tracks required for construction. Zooming in a little closer, a 20-foot wide tunnel is provided under the tracks to allow for pedestrian and bike access. ADA accessible ramps for people walking or with bikes are shown in this reddish color. The ramp begins its descent near the plaza for 1180 Main Street, makes a couple of 180-degree turns before entering the tunnel. On the east side of the tunnel, pedestrians will make a 90-degree turn to the right, travel south up the ramp for about 30 feet, make a 180-degree turn, then ascend some more before meeting up with the existing sidewalk on the south side of Maple. Stairs are also provided on each side of the tunnel. More detail can be seen on the section cut view. Here's a typical section of the tunnel looking east. Clicking on the X will take you back to the alternative selection screen. Lastly, the fourth icon is for Alternative 4, which only grade separates Whipple Avenue, so Maple Street in this alternative will remain as it exists today. Clicking on this icon will open up a Google Street View image of the railroad crossing at Maple.